not only were we muted, but the desktop was muted again too. I'm sorry, guys. But yes, hi guys, welcome back to another stream. Just a quick TLDR of what you missed in the last minute. I've been fighting with my camera. It's not... I downloaded some things that were supposed to help it be better, and it's not better, and instead of my husband's desk over there, you should be seeing a, you know, animated background, and it just doesn't want to work. But I'll fiddle with that later. Anyway, we are going back and we are getting back into more writing today. We are at 14,807 words. The goal technically is 25k words, but I'm also going to be happy if we finish the story too. It's been a few days since I last tackled this. Basically, I've been working on this with you guys on stream. So, ow, I hate that. What was I saying? Sorry. So basically, so I'm going to basically just reread chapter 11, see where we're at, and then jump. I think we ended at a good chapter breakpoint, so we're going to go ahead and jump to the next chapter once I figure out where we're going to go. Additionally, one sec, just checking notifications. Yeah, that's what I expected. Okay. Additionally, just a couple of quick housekeeping reminders. I do monetize my, well, rewind. YouTube does not have ads that run during my lives. I don't have control over the VOD versions though. That's all YouTube, and I don't get a penny of it as of right now. But if you want to support me, go ahead and go to YouTube, give me those watch hours, give me those viewer numbers. That will help to eventually get me monetized. On the Twitch side of things, we have ads that do roll. We have the pre-roll ads, and then once an hour, in about 30 minutes, you'll get a 1 minute ad, and then once an hour thereafter, it'll be another 30 or it'll be another 1 minute ad, and then at the very end of the stream, I roll 3 minutes worth of ads. I am currently in a position where I do need to run these ads, so I do thank you all so much for your understanding. If you do want to support me in other ways, you can subscribe, you can send bits, but I do also have a Ko-fi page. There should be links below, both on Twitch and YouTube, where you can just straight up donate. You can also commission me to make you a story or do an oracle reading card. I also put up a couple pictures. One that's basically a freebie, low quality, and then another that's I feel like is a really pretty picture of the sky. Pricing is currently being tested, and we'll see how things go with that. So, you know, again, if you want to support me, that is a good way to do it. Next month is November. That is also when I typically do the donations for Baby DJ. I'll have to split it up somehow. Because I will need to keep what I'm doing here for myself, sort of, but I'll also need to, you know, I don't want to deprive the charity either. I might do half and half or something. I don't know. I'll decide that later. But for now, we have a story to write. And we are going until 6, so this is a little over 3 hours. So cool beans. I also don't have a headset on. I set up music to run. There shouldn't be any ads with the music that I'm running, but if y'all hear something that doesn't sound right, let me know. And let's get to it. Alright, I'm going to read this chapter out loud so you guys have a bit of a reading stream too. Chapter 11. Back in her room, Emily had refilled half the totes she had emptied during the morning. The rest of the items were left in a reusable shopping bag for her mother to sort through later. The tote did not get resealed, however. Depending on what was in the second tote, she might just be able to consolidate everything into the first tote and cut the number of totes down to 1. Pushing the gray tote off to the side, Emily pulled out the second identical tote. And took off its lid. This was nearly filled from wall to wall with mostly just books. Most were in tight piles, pushed up against each other, but there were a couple others that had been slipped in on their side between the piles and the walls of the tote. You did used to love to read, Mary Jo commented. Sorry, I'm trying to multitask while reading. It's not a habit I recommend. You did used to love to read, Mary Jo commented from the doorway. She must have stepped up to the room before Emily took off the lid. Still do, kind of, Emily replied, looking over the stacks of books that had once again held keys to her childhood in the form of nostalgia. Audiobooks only technically count, her mother commented with a shake of the head. Come and get me once you're done. I'll be in my room, cleaning. Okay, Emily answered, not looking at her mother. Instead, she reached in and picked up a book. It was the first of a series of books that she used to read almost religiously. It was about a group of girl investigators who solved mysteries in their city neighborhood. It was often as simple as a kid playing a prank on another kid, but there were a few that were memorable. Her favorite was the story about missing jewelry. The neighborhood thought there was a cat burglar in their midst, but in the end it was a crow that was taking shiny things from open windows and using them to try to profess its love for a woman on a billboard. I don't think that's how crows work, she mumbled to herself as she pulled the series out 3 or 4 books at a time. Still, it didn't have to be accurate to capture her attention as a young teenager. It was enough to keep her reading, and even if it wasn't accurate to magpie behavior, she still enjoyed the stories that were told. At least until she found herself in high school and not a lot of time to read anymore. That's when the desk came in, and her bookshelf, and the books, were relocated. What am I going to do with you? She looked at the series, about 21 books total stacked on top of the other across 2 piles. She seriously doubted that she was going to take the time to revisit the books, but she didn't really want to get rid of or donate them either. She had a couple of cousins who might enjoy them, but she wasn't sure if they did actually enjoy reading, or if she was just hoping they would. Her mom might know. Either way, they would end up donated. She just preferred that these books would be donated to family first. Emily looked back at the tote. With the series taken out, a good 2/3 had been removed. There were still other books, children's books or books that Emily recalled using to help build her literacy, stashed away in the tote, now haphazardly as they settled across the space that was once occupied by the series. She pulled them out one by one. The nostalgia wasn't nearly as strong with most of these. Rhyme books, picture books, and a couple of small chapter books designed for young readers. These can definitely be donated, she declared, setting them all into their own pile opposite of where the series was. One more glance at the tote and Emily confirmed that this was completely emptied out. No need for refilling. Everything within that one was going to be donated, and she didn't need to add anything new to the one she refilled earlier. I feel like this entire chapter needs to be rewritten, honestly, but that's during the editing phase. We're not there yet. This had also gone much faster than the first tote. It was only 2:30 when Emily had refilled the second tote with all of the books again, and set the reusable bag with other donation items on top of it. Deciding she didn't want the totem bag in the middle of her floor, Emily put... Oh, that's right. I'm remembering where I left off now. Emily pushed the little pile up against the wall just next to where the door opened, only footsteps away from the side of her bed. Once the little pile was in place, Emily flopped down backwards into a seated position and pressed her back against the side of her bed. Although she had eaten, she was feeling exhausted now, the lack of sleep finally catching up to her. Her earlier thoughts about crawling under as they were coming back to her. "I couldn't," she muttered, but despite the protestation, she pushed her body along until it was laying on the ground, and rolled over so that she was facing the beige and pink floral carpet that cushioned the wooden floor from her bed. "It's so dusty," she whispered in another complaint and argument against the thoughts that were not stopping. Her hand slowly moved toward the bed, but instead of sliding over the edge of the carpet, she found her fingers digging under it. Emily did not expect to feel comfort from how tight the carpet hugged her hand to the ground. Her bed was pinning the rug, so it did not have much leeway that it could give to her invasive hand. As a result, it almost felt like the carpet was laying itself on top of her hand in the same manner that someone trying to comfort her by clasping her hand in theirs would. Like her grandmother would. "Grandma," she whispered, in another complaint and argument against... Oops. My eyes jumped. "Grandma," she whispered. She tried to curl her fingers under the weight of the carpet and found it difficult. Instead of her fingertips meeting the palm of her hand, she felt grooves in the wood beneath the carpet. It wasn't that surprising, since most wood floors would naturally have grooves anyway. Emily's green eyes looked at the wooden floor between her body and the carpet, mentally trying to find what the grooves she was feeling would look like. As she looked, she found her hand absently tracing the grooves. Oddly enough, they felt curved, but that must have been a trick of her imagination. Still, she wasn't noticing any grooves on the wooden floor right here. Pulling her hand back and pushing herself up to a seated position, Emily looked around at the rest of the wooden floor. No grooves, at least none that would be able to be felt by bare hands. Or even feet for that matter, she realized. Maybe it was because that section of floor was hidden beneath the carpet and not well maintained? That didn't make sense to her. But it seemed to be a possibility. She'd have to ask her mother about it. Speaking of her mother, she needed to let her know that the donation items were done being selected, and maybe ask if she could nap in her bed again. Guys, I'm gonna warn you now, I am starting to feel tired. So you're gonna get a lot of these, probably. But we continue. Alright, so chapter 12. Center. A nice, relaxing nap later, Emily was up again and helping her mother load her piles of books into the back of her minivan, an SUV, maybe an SUV. I'm just gonna say car. Into the back of her car. I don't... here. I like that you offered your Mystery Girl? I don't think Mystery Girl is a good book title name, or book series name. That's what editing is for, so... Mystery Girl I like that you offered society books to Melanie and Cassandra, but I don't know if they're readers like you. Her mom commented after she broached the subject of donating them out. Sorry, I saw something that caught my eye. Anyway, back to this. After she'd broached the subject of dining them out. But I talk to their mothers, and see what they say. See if they'd be interested. Thank you. Emily replied, shoving the tote of books again of the trunk. How was the nap? Alright, scrolling up. How was the nap? Her mother asked. Closing the trunk, last of the donation items was finally settled into place. It was good. No nightmares? Emily scrunched her face and shook her head. No nightmares, no dreams either. Which was fine by me. She answered. No dreams either, which is fine by me. Oh man. Good. Well, that you were able to get some good rest. Mary Jo reached over to pat her daughter on the shoulder. And today you're not smart brush, so. I don't think we need to do anything else on Friday. Oh, we'll just create filler and edit down later. Today you're not in any sort of rush, so hopefully you got as much sleep as you could have from that nap. Nodding, Emily looked around. I guess this is the first time that. Oh. Yeah, this is the first time they're actually out of the house. Oh. Nodding, Emily looked around at the bleak yard, at the front yard as they stood on the driveway. It was a decent sized yard, covered in a very light layer of snow. About 30? I can't measure yards apparently, sorry. Across the yard, she could see the neighbor's house. Her mother's sister and family. Starting to get decorated for Christmas. this late in the day, they had already put up several strands of light and a few Santa-themed inflatables. What do you guys set up for Christmas like they do? She asked her mother. I'll make that the same paragraph. And curiosity. Mary Jo turned to regard the house next door and just shook her head. They go all out. Lights and a couple statues. And the front garden are not for us. I guess the decorating style from Grandpa. Oh no. Let me reverse that. Mother's brother. From Aunt Maria. I guess they got the well, not Uncle Thomas. Well, not Uncle Tommy. Emily mused, half teasing her mother. Maybe. Her mother cut back. I don't know how to do this conversation. This is painful. Maybe her mother quit back, but at least we don't have to worry about large power bills in January. Is the power bill really that high? Emily asked, beginning the walk back up to the front door. Front door of the front food. Man, I could get some front food. Front door of her parents' house. I've never looked at their bill. And how do you know? Run all those lights and all that equipment to keep the things inflated on top of all the other things they run on a daily basis. definitely going to be a large power bill. Probably twice as much as any other month. I don't think it would be that large, Emily replied cautiously. A lot of times, the biggest culprit is the air conditioning or heating units. I think. Plus, a lot of modern lights are LED, so they don't take up as much energy. Mary Jo waved her hand in the air dismissively. You only think that. You don't know it. But you don't know how large the power bill is. Emily countered. Either way, more than ours. More than what they know. And will definitely be more than ours. Emily still wasn't quite sure how accurate her mother's assessment was, but she knew that short of going over to her aunt's house and asking, but she knew that short of going over to her aunt's house and asking, the conversation would just end in, would just be filled with suppositions and educated guesses. Alright, scrolling up. Okay. Stretching a little bit. Just be filled with. Instead of continuing the argument, Emily pushed the door open and invited her mother to go into the house first. She could smell spices and other delicious aromas coming from the kitchen. Mom, it seems like your soup might be almost ready, she commented. About halfway there. Mary Jo corrected. That's just the stock. That's just the stock. Draining it and making the actual soup. Please get out of there. Here. What's the other half? That's just the stock. Draining and making is the other half. Want to join me? Not really one for cooking. Emily shook her head. No, I think I'll take a walk. Sorry, I heard something weird. No, I think I'll take a walk, she stated. I've been in here during the whole trip. Except for last night. Mary Jo nodded, peeling off her light coat. Alright. Just don't wander too far. How long to learn? Emily asked, so she could know how long she had for the walk. Well, her mother took a moment to think to herself. I'll need to chop up the meat and vegetables, and get them sauteed and cooked. While I do that, I can strain the stock, and then add it to the mix. I think we'll add noodles tonight, so I'll do that too. Maybe 30 to 45 minutes. I cannot type. Maybe she ended up guessing after she calculated the steps that needed to be done. Emily nodded as much to herself as to her mother. I'll definitely be home before then. It's just a walk around the neighborhood. She stated. Enjoy the walk. With that, Emily closed the door once again on the outside of it. In the bleary autumn pre-dusk, late afternoon. Taking a deep breath, she turned and walked down her family driveway until she was on the sidewalk, and taking a leisurely stroll through the neighborhood where she had grown up, where several of her family members moved into in order to be closer to family. With that, Emily closed the door once again on the outside of it in the bleary autumn late afternoon. Taking a deep breath, she turned and walked down her family driveway until she was on the sidewalk, taking a leisurely stroll through the neighborhood where she had grown up, where several of her family members moved in order to be closer to family, and where she had moved away from in order to claim her own independence. In order to claim her own independence. Okay. Yeah. Alright. In order to claim her own independence, she was several houses down the street. At this point, a road that curved let's explain the neighborhood. The neighborhood wasn't a large one, consisting generally of a large circular street with two roads that bisected it horizontally and vertically, essentially creating four quadrants of the neighborhood. Emily and the majority of her family lived in what she considered the northeast corner. Lived in the northeast corner. Close to a pond. Close to some woods. When Emily finished her eventual walk, she would have gone through each of the quadrants. Several houses later, 4 houses later. Emily. Emily was... I kept saying Emily. I've used Emily like 15 billion times in the last 5 lines. So let's change this up. The young woman was deep in thought as she continued her walk, passing several homes along the way. It wasn't the sleep or the nightmares that consumed her thoughts currently, but rather she found herself wondering why she preferred not to move into this neighborhood along with the rest of her family. Office assistants and paralegals. I found the name for it earlier, guys. Paralegals. And paralegals could be found in almost... Oh, I can't type. Almost any community. So the argument of job opportunity was not a valid one in this context. No, she just wanted to be away from her family. No, she realized with a drop in her stomach, as much as she loved her family and knew that she could rely on them if needed, she also knew Hey, big boss. Not discreetly saying hello to you even though you're working. And hello to everybody else who is working. And, you know, what's the word? Not co-studying. Body doubling. Hello everybody who may also be body doubling with me. Hope you guys are having a great day. As much as she loved her family and knew that she could rely on, she also knew that she didn't want to be around them as often as they seemed to want to be around her. It was confusing because it was confusing. Why did she feel like she didn't want to be around them as much? She felt like she was let's see. She felt like she knew the answer. She just didn't want to admit it. A familiar voice called out to her as she stood on the corner of a sidewalk, waiting for some neighborhood cars to pass by. Emily looked up from where she was scrolling up. Emily looked up from where, looked up, her gaze previously on the ground before her. Now it was looking in the direction of the voice, not far from her left. In the car that was idling at the stop sign was a set of her cousins. They had the windows rolled down and they looked like they were about to go out for the evening. Oscar and not Neil. I don't want Neil. I want Arthur. I don't know. Ryan. She nodded to them in turn. Where are you going? Ryan. Ryan asked, leaning out of the passenger window. Just on a walk, she replied with a smile and a light shrug. Ryan, let's describe them. Oscar was about her age. And I don't need to describe them. I don't know why I'm feeling like I need to describe them. And enjoyed all things music. He was her cousin from her father's side of the family. Ryan, on the other hand, recently turned 21. And ever since his birthday, all she heard about him doing was, how do you say wilding out in story format? Was going out and wilding out, as he would say. That apparently meant going to late night parties, late night clubs, hanging with his friends, doing crazy stunts, and other things that Emily would never have dreamed of doing at his age. apparently there weren't illicit substances used, but that was on his own word. Luckily, there was nothing to prove him otherwise. Where are you going? Ryan asked, leaning out the passenger window. Just on a walk, she replied with a smile and a light shrug. I'm cooped up at home. Home this trip. Some fresh air. Air's cold, Conrad. Back in here. Oscar chided his little brother with a shake of his head. Sorry, he apologized. You were something pretty big there. She shook her head. She shook her head and waved off the apology. It's fine. Just thinking about life. As usual. She grinned a bit self-deprecatedly. I'm gonna have to. That's an edit phrase. She grinned a bit at herself. I'm gonna keep walking. Where are you two going? You look like you're about to spend the night in another city or something. She commented, referring to the slick outfits? Yeah, we'll say that. To the slick outfits the young men were wearing. Couple of Black Friday parties. At the clubs tonight. Ryan proudly confirmed. Have fun. Emily smiled and gave him a wave. You too, stay safe. Oscar replied as Ryan gave a return wave. Not to you guys. She quipped just before the car pulled away, turning out of the neighborhood. With a shake of her head, Emily continued her walk around the block. She loved her family, and could not see her life, could not see her life path if they weren't in it. Still. Live versus life. I see. Still. She knew why she had moved away from everyone. She wanted her own freedom, herself, and not her freedom herself, and not have to worry about everyone she knows, everyone in her family, knowing everything about her and asking knowing everything about her and what she is up to at almost all times. Alright. That was not the combination. Here we are, chapter 13. Nope. Nope. I can't click buttons today, guys. Sorry. Okay. Ow. Stop doing that. Alright. I figure how I want to start this. Well, just jump right in. Back here. As she looked around the auto repair shop, as she stepped into and swept her eyes over the light interior, over the barren interior, barren interior. The walls were a faded white, pockmarked with thumbtack holes having been pressed to them over and over again as time progressed. He's dealing with some paperwork. Dennis. I almost forgot what I named the father. Dennis replied, blinking as his wife came into his workplace. Dennis replied from behind the counter. Why? I feel like we said that Dennis works with, or that Clark works with Dennis. If not, I'll have to just re-tailor this entire thing. But for now, we're going to go with this. Emily stepped... I think I might have to redo this anyway, because most of the rest of the story is from Emily's perspective, so with her... Emily stepped into the auto repair shop after her mother. And Dennis's question morphed from why to O. Let me see if I can get him out here. He commented. Setting down a piece of... Setting down a contraption that Emily did not recognize. Thank you. And both Mary Jo and Emily replied. Mary Jo took a seat at one of the waiting chairs and motioned for Emily to go up to the counter. He turned and went behind a plain white door that had age marks. That was beginning to peel back with age. To peel with age, rather. Alright, it's growing up. Hesitating for just a moment, Emily took her mother's advice and walked up to the counter. She placed her hands into a clasp and rested them on the surface as she waited for her father and Clark to emerge. Several minutes later, the two men came out from the elderly door, from the room behind the area behind the door, as large and intimidating of a man as Emily's father was. Clark was the complete opposite. He was small, almost lanky. And seemed to be alarmed at the thought of someone requesting his presence. His attention. Clark, Emily, Clark. And Dennis introduced the two. Clark, Emily has a few things she would like to ask you about. Emily idly wondered how much her mother told him about the message she had tried to send Clark the other night, but figured now was probably not the best time Time to ask. Oh, okay, Clark said nervously, looking between Dennis and his daughter. How can I help you today, Emily? Deciding to ignore the application attempt, the message attempt the other night, Emily started by bluntly asking, did you ever crash in bed with my parents' permission? Apparently, Clark was not... excuse me. Was not expecting a question like that. And stood there a moment, blinking. Stood there a moment as he processed it in his mind. Yes, I did. Once. But only once. Don't worry. I'm not worried. I'm not worried. Emily shook her head. I'm not worried. Emily shook her head as if to reassure one or both of them. I just wanted to ask if you had any nightmares while sleeping in my bed. That question seemed to throw the nervous man off more than her first question did. He took a step back, bumping into a low shelf behind him. He hurriedly looked at Dennis as if reaching out to him for guidance on how to answer his daughter's, how to answer the stern man's daughter's inquiry. The man did not respond. Can't type. The man did not give any indication of how to respond. He just kept watching Clark to see. No, that sounds terrible. I was supposed to do a dream sequence. Actually, I can squeeze that in afterwards and we can just edit it around. Okay. Perfect. Okay, As if reaching out to Dennis shrugged. I might have made mention of that day, of that night. Gulping, Clark turned his gaze for a moment toward Mary Jo, who was not as attentive to the who did not seem as attentive as Dennis was. Her eyes were focused on a cell phone in front of her. Her eyes knitting together. On the cell phone in front of her, as she worked away through her notifications. Ultimately, all through Clark's panicked actions and attention spanning the small auto shop lobby, Emily just stood in place, hands still clasped together on top of the counter, waiting for his reply. Clark did eventually turn his gaze from Mary Jo to Emily and gulped once again. Yes. I did have a nightmare. I left the bed. I'm kind of imagining his voice as Waymond from Everything Everywhere All at Once. Yes, I did have a nightmare sleeping in your bed. It was horrifying. Horrifying. It woke me up in the middle of the night. Was kind enough to. His nervous eyes started back at Mary Jo for a moment before resettling on Emily. It was horrifying. Thank you. Suggested edits. Horrifying and woke me up in the middle of the night. It was just kind enough to. Resettling on Emily. Arrange other sleeping options so I could finish up the night. Alright, scrolling down a bit. I just want to make sure I Can you tell me about the nightmare? Emily asked. Emily asked. Emily asked, her brows furrowing. She knew that her mother could be, I was going to say a hard ass, but I don't think I want to say that. She knew that her mother could be strict when it came to people sleeping on the couch. But the level of nervousness Clark was displaying especially when it came to her mother being present, felt off. He paused. He caught himself and looked at Dennis again, then at Emily. Yes. Then at Emily immediately afterwards, then back again, immediately afterwards, not waiting for any cues from Dennis, from his coworker / employer. Yes, he finally finished. Okay, yes. Okay, but not right here. Why? Both Emily and Dennis asked at the same time. Mary Jo looked up from her phone at the tonal change in the conversation, but went back to it, letting her daughter take care of the conversation she needed to have. Clark's lips pressed together. Let's see. Need to stay up front. Suspicion clouded Dennis's face, but he nodded his agreement and unlocked the, what's it called? The gate? The gate that allowed only employees behind the counter. Emily stepped through, and the three of them walked through the warped door into what was, I don't want to say affectionately, into what was considered the back. The back was just a small office with two doors, one leading to the shop's lobby and another leading to the what's it called? The bay? Leading to the automotive bay. Bay where most of the work was done. Oh my god. Oh. Yeah. Twitch team ad's going to start in about 5 minutes. 4 or 5 minutes or so. Just a heads up. One leading to the shop's lobby and the other leading to automotive bay where most of the work was done. The majority of the space in the office was taken up by a moderately sized desk and shelves that lined the side walls that lined that lined the walls without doors. A moderately sized desk and shelves that lined the walls without doors. Paperwork and binders were all over the room. The room sorted into what could be called haphazardly organized piles. The only chair in the room was the one behind the desk, which Dennis offered to his daughter once the three of them had entered and the door was closed. All right. Oh, I don't have any necklaces on. Okay, anyway. And the only chairs are Go ahead. Dennis. Encouraged Clark to continue. Right, the nightmare. Clark started clearing his throat. As you know, Dennis, I had needed a place to sleep after Myrtle kicked me out. After Myrtle kicked me out. During the divorce, kicked me out after declaring divorce. Declaring she wanted a divorce. So you kindly let me stay with you and sleep on your daughter's bed, provided I ensure that the sheets and everything remain clean, which is easier to do. I don't think I need to do that because that kind of elicits weird thoughts, at least in my brain. Let's see. So you kindly let me stay with you and sleep on your daughter's bed. All I needed to bounce back. Mary Jo, sleep at the time. So she knew I was sleeping over, but we didn't really see much of each other at all during that night. That day. He included he paused, gathering his thoughts, what he was going to say next. Emily looked at her father and only shrugged at the man's nervousness. Finally, Clark continued. I fell asleep easily. The bed was fine. The bed itself was fine. No issues. But when I eventually was able to get a dream, I was eventually able to get to the sleep. But when I did, I can't. I'm trying to figure out what I want to say. This is tough. Sorry, guys. But when I did get to sleep, he trailed off again, his eyes glazing over. It was horrible. It sounds like you remember the dream? The nightmare? Emily gently prodded. He nodded slowly. Sounds like you remember the nightmare? He nodded slowly. Too vividly. It actually started out in your room. It actually started in your room, I didn't realize. I hadn't fallen asleep yet. Then I heard Mary Jo calling for me. He turned his glance nervous. He glanced nervously. Ooh, he's gonna leave some stuff up in the air. I like it. Less nervously at Dennis, who Emily could tell wanted to react, but was schooling his features to avoid ruining the recollection. Hey, Shiny Hedge Pig, how's it going? Long time no see. Actually, start out real. Clark continued. Good. I'm glad to hear that things are doing good. And I didn't know what she wanted, but I could hear her voice just saying my name. I thought. I don't know what I thought. Maybe something happened to Dennis, or he wasn't replying. Me. Have I been? I've been better. But right now I can't complain. I'm doing pretty well. Hey, Patron Marie. Thank you for passing by and throwing your support. I'll give you a checkout too. I appreciate it. But yeah, I'm doing okay, Shiny. Thank you for asking. Let's see. Maybe something happened to Dennis, or he wasn't replying, so she needed me. Excuse me. Okay, maybe I have the sneezes. But sneezes are fine. Scrolling up a bit. Alright. Even though it's slowly too vividly. It actually started on in the room. I didn't realize I hadn't fallen asleep yet. Then I heard Mary Jo calling for me. He glanced nervously at Dennis, who Emily could tell wanted to react, but it was schooling his features to avoid her reflection. Clark continued. I didn't know what she wanted, but I could hear her voice just saying my name. I thought. I don't know what I thought. Maybe something happened to Dennis, or he wasn't replying, so she needed me. The next thing I knew, I was standing in front of the master bedroom door. Alright. Stretching, stretching, stretching. Hey, Ceramus, how's it going? Thank you, Big Boss. I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for asking. Oh. Yeah, it is that time of day. Di and I were actually talking yesterday about traffic around this time of day, and we're like, he's like, yeah, schools get out at 4. I'm like, they don't get out at 4. He's like, yeah, they do. I'm like, no, but it's been a minute, so I could be misremembering. The next thing I knew, I was standing from the master bedroom door. 3:30 here. Traffic sucks till like 4:30. So technically yes, technically no. I feel like the end of traffic still counts as school traffic, so makes sense. And then yep. Oh, I know the 5 p.m. rush hour. That was not fun. The next thing I knew, I was standing in front of the master bedroom door. I tried to open. Ooh, can't type. But it won't open. It won't budge. Let's see. Horror with doors. Won't budge. I tried again and again. And finally, on the 3rd attempt, the door didn't budge, but I somehow found myself shoulder deep into something that was like a marshmallow substance. Like the door was made out of putty or something. Shoulder deep. No traffic is one of the few benefits of living in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. Don't you also get like the sheep herds? I feel like you've told me about those before too, like the herds of sheep getting in your way. Like the door is made out of putty or something. Then I was, I don't know if eventually the door let me through or what, but I know I was then on the other side of the door. Sheep escape quite often. Okay, so I have to ask, when sheep escape, how do you go after them? Do you have like collies, like border collies, sheepdogs that go after the sheep and round them back up, or do you get like, I don't want to say manhunt, but do you get like groups of people going after the sheep? Once they had, yes, I think that was the story you told me about them getting on the motorway. Alright, Ceramus, enjoy well. I saw you playing the classic time walking last night. Hope you've been enjoying it. Usually a farmer would bring the sheepdog. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I know how they do it like in fields, but I wasn't sure about like in communities. So I was just trying to picture how that would go. But cool. Good to know. And now that you're here, I want bread. How is that bread story coming along? Like the door is made of putty or something. I don't know if eventually the door let me through or what, but I know it's on the other side. But I know I was then on the other side of the door. He swallowed. It wasn't a bedroom. Other side of the door. It was like, it was one of those paintings where the ceiling and the floor and everything was all part of the same plane of existence. Or multiple people bring these little wooden boards to sort of block. Oh, so like kind of like guiding the back. That's cool. Bread story is on hold. Distracting Tolkien fanfic. Okay, tell me about that. Still want some bread though. I'm gonna make some bread this weekend because I'm making soup. So I'm gonna make soup and make bread. I'm excited for that. It's not fancy though. Everything was all part of the same plane of existence. Spelled that correctly? I did not spell that correctly. E-N-C-E. Everything was all part of the same plane of existence. I tried to step forward and found myself facing the door that I just walked through. I could hear Mary Jo calling me again. I tried to turn around and the room, the weird room, the weird dimensional room didn't change, but didn't change too much, but this time there was this there were stairs in front of me. I couldn't tell. Maybe I don't remember. If... Nope, that's hyphen. If they were supposed to take me up or down. But I had the urge to go to use them in order to find Mary Jo. A lot of it is half finished, but I don't know my brain. Hobbits keep finding dangerous stuff. And they're just sitting on. What if the hobbits just happen to have the largest collection of all the you don't want to touch this stuff in the world? I mean, that feels legit. One of the hobbits adopted Maglord because he's sad and beaten by. I will admit my knowledge of Tolkien is not great. But I love that concept. I feel like maybe I don't know what you're, like if you're doing like an anthology of short stories or what, but I feel like that would be a fun read. The what if of the Tolkien verse. That'd be cool. Let's see. I can tell me that there. So I step forward again. And this time, I found myself tumbling in what I think was outer space. But instead of being around stars and suns and planets and stuff, I was under the bed, under a bed, and Mary Jo was there. She held her hand up to her lips. She held her hand up to her lips and told, and without saying as much, she told me to be quiet. Except I wanted to know. And Mary Jo was there. I was a speck in the air, and she was a giant person. I guess maybe I guess maybe she was regular size. She was regular size. But she could see me. She held her hand up to her lips, and without saying as much, she told me to be quiet. Except I wanted to know what she needed me for. I opened my mouth to ask, but before I could say anything, he trailed off, a heavy shudder shaking his light frame. Well, that did not spell well. He trailed off. Elrond is essentially Maglor's adopted son. Oh, in canon for context. Okay. Maglor is from the Silmarillion, and he did a lot of bad things, but some good ones. So he's basically, you know, a Shades of Grey person. Okay. And so he runs away, or he goes on a journey, gets lost, and finds himself in Hobbiton. He trailed off ahead of each other, shaking his light frame. Oh, yeah. I watched as her skin started. Ooh, will be worse. Healing or melting? Ooh, both. Healing and then melting away from her body. There wasn't any muscle or anything underneath. It was just skin, and all that was left after it melted away was her skeleton. Nuts to this, I'm done with work. All right. Yay, being done with work. 4:30 end of shift. Enjoy the rest of your day, big boss. There wasn't any muscle or anything underneath. It was just skin. Skin and after all that. Yeah, I'll fix that in editing. It was just her skeleton. She was still moving though. Like she didn't even know that her flesh had just been removed from her body. Now let's see, the last thing we hear about him in canon is that he's standing on the shore singing his despair at being cursed and losing his family, so people like to headcanon something happier for the end. Aww. Well, it's, I can see that. So, in your story, would he end up happier? Or just not hungry? Or will food make him happy? She was still moving though. Like she didn't even know that her flesh had just been removed from her body. But he did also murder a lot of elves over some gems, so, you know. I mean, yeah. Sometimes you get what comes to you. Alright. She was still moving though, like she didn't even know that her flesh was just removed from her body. He gathered a breath. Emily started to say something to console him. Emily opened her mouth to say something, but then he continued. He closed his eyes to gather a breath. His eyes still closed. His eyes still shut, I should say. I think he's going to learn some proper manners, get a few good dinners in him. Oh, the training of Maglor. That'll be an interesting title. Well, That'll be an interesting... I mean, it's your story, but now I'm just picturing it as a How to Train Your Dragon, except reversing it to How to Train Your Maglor type thing. Hobbit style. I'm going to scroll up a bit. But then he continued on, his eyes still shut. I tried to point out what had happened to her. But each time I opened my mouth to say something, something new would happen. First, her bones burst into flames, catching the area. I think we were still under a bed. On fire. And then maggots, I guess. Then maggots crawled out from those flames and made a bed for her bones to rest on. And then lastly, I wasn't tumbling anymore, and I landed in that pile of maggots. Oof. Okay. Okay. I couldn't scream. Because each time I did, a maggot would find itself of my mouth. Oh, this is going to be fun to edit. Whew. Finally, he paused long enough for Emily to ask, "Did anything else happen?" Clark, eyes still closed, shook his head. I don't remember anything else. I think that's when I woke up. He swallowed again. He swallowed, but choked on his spit. He swallowed, but stopped and choked lightly, halfway into the motion, resulting in an uncomfortable cough. Yeah, I needed a break from the bread story because trying to figure out reincarnation, that universe was melting. I mean, reincarnation can definitely be a fun problem to tackle, but also making sure that you don't do it and ruin other aspects that might have been added can also be troublesome. I can see that. I think that's when I woke up. Emily looked over at her father, who just stood in the corner with his arms folded over his chest. Right. Alrighty. Let's see. Emily looked over at her father, who just stood there in the corner, his arms folded over his chest. Then she looked back at Clark. She didn't clock his complexion when she first saw him, but he was sickly pale right now after recalling that nightmare that he had. That he had shared. She pressed her lips together. And thought on how to respond. She felt bad making him recall the nightmare. She hated. She would never want anyone to ask her to recall hers. Still, some of the details he gave in his recollection made her wonder about certain aspects of the nightmares she had been having. Do you mind if I ask you another question? She slowly asked. He opened his eyes. This time looking at Emily like she was torturing. She was a crazy teacher who had just asked her students if they wanted to take their final exam on the second day of school. What is it? He choked out. Another shudder raked it. Nope. Another shudder raked his body. It's an odd one, but it does ask you to recall the nightmare again. She hesitantly began, or she hesitantly prefaced. Do you know if Mom was on that carpet in your dream? With roses on it? One with roses on it? The tortured man closed his eyes and shook his head. And weariness changed on my screen. I can't figure out what it was. Probably my imagination. Torture my clothes is not true. I don't recall. He, he answered. Sounding defeated. Work well. Take the rest of the day. Dennis offered. No. Clark replied. I'll be fine in a few minutes. He looked back over at Emily and just kind of shaking Emily. Had to visit his spirit medium to confirm it wasn't haunted. But you might be. She said it was the location. She said it was the location. Emily frowned, but nodded without. Emily frowned, but nodded. I had a feeling. I'm gonna cut that part out. Alright, she said it was the location. I had a feeling. I get nightmares too. Thank you for sharing that with me. Alright. I think this is a good ending to that chapter. Alrighty. But I don't want like a page with, I mean, editing would cut that down, of course, so I don't know why I'm so against that. Let's see. Let's see. I get nightmares too. Yeah, we'll jump to the next chapter. The wrong button. Excuse me. Chapter 14. On the car ride back to their house, Mary Jo looked over at Emily. The young woman had been silent since they came out of the back room of the auto shop. Everything go okay there? She asked. Emily nodded. Her lips pressed into a line. Yeah. she said, her eyes not leaving the road ahead of them, although it was Mary Jo who was the driver. What kind of nightmare did he have? That caused Emily to glance sideways at her mother before looking back to the road. Oop. Back to the road ahead. Kind of a feeling one. Dimension weirdness. Skin peeling. Bugs. Those sound awful. Her mother commented with a shake of her head. Did it help you figure any of that out at all? Actually, it kind of did. Emily replied, for the first time in the car ride home, she leaned back into her passenger seat and allowed her head to roll to the side and look out of the window. What did you figure out? Her mother prodded. Nothing concrete. She admitted. The young woman admitted. I might take a closer look at the space under my bed today, though. Why? Emily wasn't sure how to tell her mom that she thought the carpet might be cursed. It didn't make sense anyway. Since she did roll out the bed, I almost said the room. It didn't make sense anyway. Yeah. Might be cursed. It made sense since her room was the only room in the house and only space Emily ever encountered where nightmares were. Nightmares happened regularly. Regularly. It just wasn't easy to verbalize it. Something felt weird when I was cleaning yesterday. It was a half tree. It was a half tree. And just the closest thing she could find to explain. Clarkstream mentioned something about a bed, and something felt weird about the space under mine when I was cleaning yesterday. Yeah, it was the closest thing she could find to explain what would drive her to look under her bed. Another acknowledged her focus returning back to the road, You know if you need any help with that. Okay? Sure. As the women drove back to their home, Emily watched the landscape around them. Not zoom along. What am I wanting to say? Emily watched the landscape around them shift. From one small shopping plaza to the next, only taking the time to read the business signs as when the car was stopped at light or for traffic. At one intersection, Emily saw a sign that made her sit up more in her seat. Madame, I don't say Claire. I want to kind of swing away from Chloe. Deidre. Madame Deidre's crystals and herbs. Emily wasn't sure if crystals, herbs, or any of the new age things would actually help with this situation. But the spirit medium that Clark talked about said that the nightmares were location based, and that was accurate. Maybe another spirit medium could help her get rid of what she maybe another spirit medium could help her get rid of the nightmares once and for all. Trying to figure out. I don't want to do this. Alright, just adjusting myself for a moment. Okay. Stretchy stretch. Okie dokie. By the time Emily had made up her mind about visiting the shop her other had already begun trying again, they were nearly home. And Emily had her own car. Waiting. Emily had her own car in the driveway that she could use. By the time Emily made our house, her brother had already been driving again. They were nearly home. She wasn't bothered. She wasn't bothered by the fact that where are you going? Mary Jo asked. When they got back to the house, Emily bolted. Alright. Sorry, guys. I gotta go be right back. I don't know how long it'll be. But I'm going to leave you all with the be right back screen, and I'll be back as quickly as I can be. Just some stuff needs my attention. So, burb. Hey guys, sorry about that. I am back. But yeah, I'm just getting things back from the break, and alright, back to the story. I didn't yawn as much as I thought I was going to, which is pretty cool. Writing's not over yet, though. We still have 45-ish minutes, so stuff can happen. Alright, those sound awful. Her mother commented with a shake of her head. Emily immediately made her way inside and managed to make it, immediately made her way inside, made her way to the door, unlock it, run up the stairs, grab her purse and keys, rush down the stairs, and made it back to the front door just as her mother was pushing her way in. Emily, what's happening to you? She asked, surprised. Just need to hit up a couple stores. She answered, trying to brush past her mother. I thought you were going to take a closer look under your bed. I am, Emily admitted. I am, but first I need to get a couple of things. Emily admitted. Like what? It was at this point that Emily hesitated in answering her mother. She looked back at her mom, and grinned sheepishly. Hi, Lisa Lou. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. It was at this point that Emily hesitated in answering her mother. She looked back at her mom and grinned sheepishly. I was going to go buy some sage. About doing one of those cleansing things. For the room. She slowly admitted. A look of confusion crossed Mary Jo's face. Sage? Cleaning? It's... Maybe this will be another edited portion. Let's see. Sage for cleaning? It's... Emily trailed off. I don't know how to describe it. It's supposed to be good for getting rid of stuff like nightmares, I think. So I thought I'd give it a shot. She Oh. Oh, I just realized. Okay, sorry. I just realized something in my personal life. I'm scrolling up. Emily. You know that stuff. Stuff is homeopathic, right? It won't work. Mother caution. Maybe. But I gotta give it a shot. Just in case. Countered. The worst that can happen. What's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen? That seems fun. I'm good with that. Her mother gave her a flat look. Fine. I was sleeping in my bed. I'm okay to try that. I'm okay for you to try that. A smile crossed Emily's face, and she leaned over to kiss her mom on the cheek. Thanks, Mom. She chirped and turned to go to take her car out. Shopping for answers. Yeah. Chapter 15. I know I didn't spell it correctly, I'll fix it in a second. The tiny bell rang. Or a rang as Emily stepped into a shop that smelled of smoke and soap. That smelled of soap and sandalwood. She looked around at the crystals and herbs shop that she had decided to visit. It wasn't a large shop by any means. It had a table in the center with various crystals displayed by type in woven baskets. It had a table. Along the walls were various different types of shelving units, some displaying dried herbs in canisters, while others displayed jewelry, decks of cards, and other knickknacks. decks of cards of some sort, and other knickknacks. And other knickknacks. Knickknacks? Knickknacks. Scrolling up. Directly to the right of the entrance was a counter about chest high with a middle-aged tall woman standing behind it. I guess tall would go with a tall standing behind it. Putting up a couple of posters. Taking a look at the posters, Emily noted that they were for festivals that were coming up soon that the shop was seemed to be planning to participate in. My help? Hello, welcome. The woman on the other side of the counter chirped without turning around. Give me just one moment, and she said as she finished affixing her poster to the board. The woman turned around and smiled as she caught Emily in her gaze. Welcome, she said again. Can I help you find something? Suddenly feeling small and very out of place in a place like this, Emily shrugged meekly. I came to find some help, she said. I think I need to smudge my room. The woman studied Emily for a moment, her eyebrows knitting as she assessed the young woman in front of her. Finally, she nodded. I can show you where the smudging supplies are. I can show you that. However, sometimes we need more than just smudging. She started. Emily immediately tensed. This is what her mother is probably afraid of. This woman was going to try to upsell her something so she would buy more. Than what she absolutely needed. Just smudging supplies. Thanks, Emily managed to answer her voice wavering. The woman must have noticed the waver in her voice because her eyebrow immediately went up with suspicion, I spell it correctly, of her own. Do you mind if I ask you why you need to smudge your room? I get nightmares in the room, Emily answered. Being honest would be the easiest path to resolution. Smudging can help. I can't type, apparently. The woman acknowledged. Crystals can too. I think the most effective thing would be to determine why you're getting nightmares exactly. I can tell your sleep isn't the best. Are these new? Home sweet gaming chair! Woohoo! Welcome home, big boss. Crystals can too. I think the most effective thing while you're getting nightmares exactly. And this way I can make more effective recommendations. Are these new? Emily hesitated for a moment and then shook her head. I've been getting them nightly for years. Only at home, though. I don't get them when I'm in my apartment or at college, she answered. The woman's face scrunched as she answered, and then shared all that she knew about the nightmare situation with this strange woman who was offering to help. Confirmed to affect more than just Emily, not to affect anyone who slept in her room, but other rooms were safe. Though as Emily continued her descriptions, including snippets of what she could recall from her nightmares, along with the nightmares of Clark and I forgot what her cousin's name was. Julio? I'm gonna say Julio. And Julio. Like snippets of what? That sounds sounds that definitely sounds like a localized problem she used. And it's not something that was brought into the room. No. Emily shook her head. I don't think so. Books, antiques, furniture. Nothing like that was added to your life around the time the nightmares started? Scrolling up just a bit. Not that I recall. Emily answered. The newest piece of furniture was the desk, and I had been having the dreams. With the desk, and I had the nightmares. Before the... Oh, I need to create a timeline in my head now. Okay, so she got the desk when she transitioned into high schooldom. She's also been getting the nightmares since. Here, so she'll have the desk, and I didn't get the nightmares until maybe a year after. Other things come and go, but nothing that I can think of that stayed that would have been a trigger for this. She thought for a second. Sometimes odd things can be triggers. The woman brought up a hand to her chin, thinking. Can be triggers. Did you... Did you dabble in anything like dark magic, black magic, the occult, or anything like that when you were a teenager? Maybe checked a book out of the library that you returned, but it left a lasting impression? Laying a lasting impression on your room? And anything like when you were a teenager. Emily thought back to her teenage years and slowly shook her head. My parents wouldn't allow anything like that, she admitted. Her teenage years, she admitted. Okay, but I was also not interested in anything like that either. I think the closest I've got is a book where they mention someone maybe being a witch, but that's it. Emily, Emily looked, but she hesitated to share this part. But if this woman was going to help her, it would be best to share everything she could. You know how I said my dad's friend had a dream about someone being under a bed? I found, well, I didn't sort of find it, but I was cleaning under the bed yesterday, and I don't know how it appears, how it actually looks, but I think there's something carved into the wood under my bed. Would that be something? The woman looked thoughtful again, and then nodded. Based on what you told me, it might be unlikely, but if someone carved something archaic into that wood and covered it so you wouldn't see it, that someone could have and covered it so that you wouldn't see it, and then maybe after so you wouldn't see it. How long do you think that's going to be for? It's under a rug, and I've had that rug. Where's the longest I remember? It's under a rug, and I've had that. So it would have had to have been there probably before we even moved in. Got it. The woman acknowledged. Since it's your bedroom, you probably spent a lot of time there dealing with big emotions, right? Hey, Adara writes, thank you for the follow, I appreciate it. How are you doing? This is your room, you probably spent a lot of time there dealing with big emotions, right? Yeah. Emily answered, unsure of what the woman was getting at. Scrolling up. Alright, so probably not going to finish the story today, but we are definitely making good headway. smudging is a good way to temporarily stop the nightmares from happening. No, let me... If there's something carved into your wood that's meant as a rune to trigger something, it's meant as a negative... Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? It's meant as a negative trigger for instances where you... if there's something carved that's meant as a negative trigger, if there's something that's carved into your wood that's a ritual circle, or rune, rune, it could have been dormant during your time as a child. Then, something might have happened, a triggering event, and the nightmares started. And your nightmares started. Because it's triggered as a rune, it's triggered as a carving, it's not something that would necessarily follow you. But how did I do that? I think I probably need to turn on my game lock so I don't accidentally hit the Windows key. Yeah, perfect. Okay. It's not something that would necessarily follow you, but would impact anything in a certain radius of where the carving is located. Your bedroom specifically. But I bet you mapped in your hallway and maybe a room adjacent to yours. There's only the bathroom there. Exactly. Da, da, da. You mapped in one of those unlikely places, you'd also probably get nightmares. So, Emily started. That's how... So, Emily said, that's how it started, but how do I get rid of it? So we figured out, so if there really is some sort of carving under the rug, we know how it started, but how do I get rid of it? The woman took a deep breath and nodded, crossing the store toward a shelf where there were bundles of what looked like thick grass, gross grass tied together. Some were a sage green, others were white. Sage green, others were white. There were large sticks. They were on the table. Others were white. And there were also bundles of sticks interspersed with bottles of cleaning water, cleansing water. Took a deep breath of what labels called cleansing water. Emily looked at the setup skeptically, but the woman only picked up a bundle of the sage colored grass. I cannot spell grass for the life of me. Sorry, guys. Picked up a bundle of the sage colored grass and offered it to the young woman. Saging is a great start. Crystals won't do. Oops, sounds like there's a rocket going off. Won't do any good unless whatever is cursing your home is gone for good. Crystals won't do any good unless whatever's cursing your home is gone for good. Saging will help dampen whatever was activated. Saging will help dampen whatever was activated and possibly even stop it altogether for a while until another another big event occurs to reopen that energy, to invite that energy back. Scrolling up. Oh, 10 minutes left. Okay. I forgot to refill my water. Alright. Until another big event occurs to invite that energy back. What can I do to guarantee that it stops for forever? Emily asked, taking the bundle. Honestly, you can try to fill in the carving with wood that is, honestly, there are a couple of options. But they aren't easy. And since it's not your home, a couple of them might be vetoed by your parents. Can you tell me why? Of course. You can try to fill in the carving with wood that is from the same type of tree as your floors. So oak carvings or oak wood. Cherry wood for cherry wood. And the like. anything else would just serve to create permanence of the carving, like paint, like painting brick. Emily nodded her understanding. That's the easy portion. That's the easy suggestion. The other suggestion would be to cut out the affected wood. Oh, I forgot to do something today. Dang it. I'll make a note to do it tomorrow. Anyway, that's the easy suggestion. The other suggestion would be to cut out the affected wood completely and replace it with new planks. That would I don't think my parents would be up for that. Emily shook her head. The woman smiled in sympathetic acknowledgement. I wouldn't think that they would be. Good flooring is hard to find. It is hard to find. Emily nodded and then looked at the bundle of sage in her hands, in her hands, and then exhaled. She couldn't believe she was about to ask this next question. What about crystals? The woman shook her head. No. Some crystals are good at warding. Like the smudge would be good for clearing away some of the energy that attracts whatever is calming the carving. But crystals need to be recharged. Crystals need to be recharged from time to time. And from the sounds of it, you will not be able to maintain that. With your household. The better option would be to find a way to deal with the carving first. Whether expel it or fill it with the same wood type. Fill it in. Again, with the same type of wood as your flooring. Whether expel it or fill it in again. And then utilize protective crystals to avoid any energy of that sort from coming in ever again, even if the carving somehow finds its way back to you. Ooh. Alright. scrolling up. Alright, a couple minutes left. I think that's a good end to the chapter. Nope. I know what I need to do for the rest of the chapter too. Alright. 3 minutes. No, perhaps we'll find this way back to you. Brown crossed Emily's face. At least she wasn't being pleased. Like she had always thought she would be from shops like this. But with the information this woman was providing to her, she actually was wishing she would be getting the buy as many crystals as you can. I promise it will work. Treatment. Even if only as a placebo effect. Still, she was grateful. I can't get around the fact that that's spelled that way. Anyway, still she was grateful for the woman's honesty and forthrightness. Thank you for telling me all that, Emily said. The woman provided a sincere smile in return. Mine's Lisa. No. Mine's Kaylee. Do you mind to ask you one more question? Oh, go ahead. Do you know how to smudge? I think that's a good line to leave it off on. Alright, guys. My Alexa's just told me to take down the trash, so it is time to get wrapping up. Thank you all so much for joining me. Thank you all for the follows and the likes on the YouTubes and the Twitches. I am going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Tomorrow I will be back. I don't know when I will start the stream. Probably a little later than I started today's. I don't honestly remember when I started today's. I've been streaming for 3 hours and change, so yeah, I probably started around 2:30 today. So I'll start tomorrow. When I start, probably won't be as early as 2:30, but we will see. Some stuff just keeps coming up, and I keep forgetting to do other things. Like you noticed a minute ago, I have a I forgot to do something earlier today, so I've got to take care of that tomorrow, and just a few other things. I'm umming all over the place, guys. Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. It will be an avatar. We didn't hit the threshold for the next set yet. So yeah, and then the writers who followed me, I'll check you guys out and give y'all a follow. I don't mind follow for follow. I prefer activity for activity, but you know how that goes. But yeah, I'm running out of stuff to say. I'll be back tomorrow. The story is coming nicely to a close. Obviously, it's got a lot of editing that needs to happen. But this is turning out to be a novella, or not a novella, not a short story, but I think a lot of stuff's going to be edited down too. So we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, it'll probably end, if not tomorrow, then the day after. I plan to stream basically, what day is today's Wednesday through Saturday this week. I will be making soup and bread. I want to say on Saturday, so I might be distracted that day. It might be tomorrow. We shall see. But either way, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up now because I am rambling. And again, if you want to support me, I would greatly appreciate it. For the YouTube people, do the likes, do the follow, or do the likes and subscribes. I don't have membership yet, but if I ever do get membership, that'd be great too. And then the Twitch people, go ahead and throw me a follow if you don't already. You can support bits or ads or whatever. Don't throw channel points for ads yet, because at the end of the stream I will be running an ad. For both people, or both groups, I do have a Ko-fi page linked down in the descriptions below. You can ask me, you basically commission me to do something like an oracle pool or a short story, you know, for, you know, your original character and stuff like that. You can also just flat out donate. That would be cool too. Or I do have like monthly donation, like Ko-fi has a setup where you can do monthly donations just automatically, and basically that gets you a membership to my Ko-fi, and then the members get discounts on the commissions. And then I have a couple pictures up. One's completely free, pay what you like, and if you want to check that out you can. And then another picture, I think I set it for $5, and then pay as you like, so you can check that out too. But yeah, those are ways that you can support me. And again, if you don't have money to throw at me, I completely understand. I know that boat very well. You can just go ahead and throw me likes and follows and things like that. Alright, I feel like I have rambled enough, probably making up for missing yesterday's stream. Sorry about that, but I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up now. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye!